Hello, instructors. This video is meant to be a crash course in day one of the Model Teach assignments. As you can see, on Monday, which is day one of synchronous PLI, the 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. session is Meet Your Model Teach group and Canvas exploration. During this session, we go through the requirements of Model Teach, which we will touch back on several times throughout this synchronous week of PLI. In order to see the resource that is used for Model Teach throughout the week, you can click on the session resource link right next to the Meet Your Model Teach group session. And that will open this page. Welcome to Model Teach 2025. I am going to briefly go over with you what your facilitator and group mates went through on Monday in order to make sure that you are ready for the independent work time on Tuesday afternoon and for presentations on Thursday. So as you will see at the top of the page here, there is a reference to the Model Teach unit that you did during self-directed PLI. That was the independent work that you completed before you arrived here. You may look back at that content at any time for reference by clicking on the link here, Introduction to Model Teach. There is also a link to the curriculum exploration, which was a copy of the high school course content that you used during self-directed. Now, your high school course became available to you on July 14th. In order to view your high school course, you can go to your Canvas dashboard, and I will demonstrate that now. From any OnRamps Canvas course, you will see this left-hand orange bar that has a number of icons that correspond to links. To open the Canvas dashboard, you click this dashboard here with the odometer on it. And this will open all of the Canvas courses that you have access to in tiles view. If you want to change the view, you can click on the little vertical 3 dots up here. Now, my page is going to look a little different from yours because I have access to quite a few more courses. But in a nutshell, here you are going to see your new instructor summer PLI. You are going to see the 25-26 Instructor HQ for rhetoric, which is where our guidelines live. And you should also be able to see your high school course. When you click on your high school course, you will see something that looks much like this. For the purpose of Model Teach, we are focusing exclusively in Module 1, which you can access from this tile here. You will see an overview in text of what is covered in Module 1 at the top of your screen, the learning outcomes for what students should be achieving during this module. And then as we scroll down, you will see this very handy table. And in this table, there are 3 columns. In the left-hand side are each of the Canvas pages, which we call reading assignments, similar to a single page of reading in a textbook. So we see there are 1.1 through 1.12. The next column is the high school assignments. These are activities that the students have access to in your high school course that many instructors will choose to take for participation grades or to assess student learning. And those assignments are linked in the center. Students also have access to this course, and they view this the same way that you do. In the final column are the college assignments. These are the assignments that the students do in their college course, so they are not linked as they are not available through the high school course. If you would like to view the college course assignments, you locate them through Instructor HQ, which we saw on the dashboard just a moment ago. Dashboard, Instructor HQ. Remember that Instructor HQ houses all of the resources and tutorials that OnRamps makes available for our OnRamps high school instructors. This is a Canvas course of all of the resources and content that we make available to you for implementing the course. On the main page or home page of Instructor HQ, you probably noticed that there are 3 tiles in 3 different colors. Course resources in blue, enrollment and student policies is in green in the center, and then the purple professional learning and development tile. Most of your time is typically spent in the blue tile throughout the academic year because this is where all of the information about implementing your course lives. The green tile is where you find information about enrollment and student grades, accommodations, registration, etc. And typically you will spend time on that tile at the beginning and end of a semester. The professional learning and development tile, this is for training for instructors, much like the Professional Learning and Development Institute that you are in this week for new instructor PLI. As we covered in the sessions on Monday, our instructors have continued training throughout the year in the form of professional learning institutes that are full days long, virtual conferences, which are 1 hour check-ins and updates. And there is also a fantastic resource here called the Resource Bank, which is a collection of resources cultivated in one spot for our instructors to find assistance implementing the course. So you see they are arranged by topic, but this is much like Sibme, a collection of resources. These are staff created that have been collected together in one spot to make it easy for you to locate all of the resources that we have shared in our various training programs, and for you to gain assistance in implementing any part of the course in which you might need some additional support. Returning home on Instructor HQ. One of the easiest ways to navigate Instructor HQ is through the table of contents. When I click on the table of contents, which is right underneath the Home button in the left-hand blue navigation links, we will see this page, and you'll notice the 3 tiles are here again: course resources, enrollment and student policies, and professional learning and development. But now there are drop-down menus. And these drop-down menus show you what is in each of those sections of that tile. So course documents includes curriculum and resources for teaching the course. And you'll see here the college course materials all live in course resources, prompts and rubrics for each of the assignments, the calibration quizzes, copies of the content from the college course, just as we were referencing when we look at the table on the landing page of your high school course, etc. The syllabus, scope and sequence, assessment plan, big ideas, crosswalk, and pacing all exist in the course resources in that first dropdown of course documents. You will spend a lot of time here. The pacing resources is where you locate things like your week-to-week pacing guide, which we shared during PLI, which will help you figure out how to fit this curriculum into your school calendar so that you stay on pace with the college due dates. There are also other pacing resources available here. You will also find from the pacing resources landing page, the college due dates are the very first view. This is something that you will reference often. The pacing guides are on the next tab, and the calendar group assignments are also listed here. If you ever have a question about which group your district belongs to, you can click on that calendar group from the Pacing Resources landing page and find your district here. So returning to Module 1 of your high school course, which is the content that you will be using to create a lesson for your students. Earlier, I referenced this table. This table exists on the landing page of each one of the modules in your high school course, and it is incredibly useful for helping you and your students stay organized with how these assignments work together in tandem simultaneously. You will see that there are reading assignments in your course. These correspond to the assignments that are listed in your pacing guides. The high school assignments are exercises to help the students demonstrate their mastery and to practice new skills. And then the college assessments do the same, pushing them to that next level to prepare them for the college assessment, which will be due for the college course. In Module 1, we are focusing on the introduction to the course. The idea in Model Teach is that you will spend time reading through this curriculum. So starting from 1.1, what is rhetoric, going down to the final page of analyzing the rhetorical situation. You will read through this content so that you have grasped the so-called chapter that is Module 1 within our online digital curriculum here. This is exactly the same curriculum that your students will view if you are viewing this in your personal high school course. So this is how you can get a grasp of, this is what my students are going to see each day, and this is how I'm going to use it in my classroom. The idea behind Model Teach is that once you have read through the full Module 1, you will make a decision on what you would like to present in a lesson. And you will be creating a short 20-minute lesson that you will present to your other OnRamps peers who are in training with you this week, as well as a facilitator. If you were absent on Monday, you will be introduced to them on Thursday. You will be presenting in a small group of approximately 4 or 5 people the lesson that you have created for your students. That is what we are doing in Model Teach. I'm going to jump back over to the PLI page. Once again, I am in the Model Teach session. This is the same link, the same page that we use for Model Teach each of the 3 days. So on Monday, you can see we did the Meet Your Model Teach group. On Tuesday, you will be working on your Model Teach preparation, and on Thursday, you will present. The rationale behind Model Teach is that college level courses can be new for many high school students. They might not be operating at the college level yet. And part of your role as an OnRamps rhetoric instructor is to scaffold this content to make it accessible to your specific students. The Model Teach experience provides you with experience teaching these topics and also provides techniques and resources for scaffolding. You will have an opportunity not only to use this content and to learn it for yourself, sometimes for the first time, and to create a short lesson based on what you've learned from that curriculum. But the idea behind the Model Teach presentations, which happen on Thursday, is that you will be workshopping with your peers and have an opportunity to talk to them and work through with them how they would teach this same content with their student population. Obviously, no classroom is homogeneous, and a lot of what we learn together in our Model Teach presentations on Thursday is how we might approach this content for different students with different background knowledge. As we can see in the Model Teach activities overview, which is on the Model Teach PLI page, is that we have a breakdown in general of what we are doing each day. So before you got here in the self-directed, you completed the introduction to Model Teach. As it says here, if you have not completed this work, please make it a priority to do so as soon as possible. You can complete it throughout this week. But the earlier you complete it, the more prepared you are for the sessions that we are running synchronously this week, which are built off of that foundational learning. On day 1, which was Monday, we met our Model Teach groups. So this is where you met your facilitator in a breakout room and they went through the week, which is what I am doing with you right now. We will also be checking your access to Sibme, and I will provide you with a resource video walkthrough that can help you with accessing Sibme and troubleshooting if you're having trouble with access. Then for the second half of Monday, the new instructors had an opportunity to begin planning and designing their lesson based on Module 1. So as I just showed you in your high school course, you have access to Module 1. You should carefully reread all of that module, all of the pages, and look over the assignments or activities that are laid out for students. You should also carefully review the first pages 1 through 2 of your week-by-week pacing guide. The reason why I ask you to look at the pacing guide is because it gives you a picture of how you will fit Module 1 into a calendar. So it starts with Module 0, which is the first week of school. I am going to scroll down to Module 1. And we see that Module 1 fits into 2 weeks. Module 1, Week 1, and Module 1, Week 2. And then it takes us to Module 2. So the first thing I want you to see is that this module, the entire module, all 14 pages and activities, are expected to be completed in 1 classroom week. You'll notice that the week-by-week pacing guide is divided into 4 days. If you are on a block schedule, then day 1 and day 2 will be a single day, and day 3 and day 4 will be a single day. If you have a floating third day in your block schedule, you can consider that wiggle room or a makeup day, however it works for your classroom in that particular week. So the idea here is you can see all of the reading assignments as well as the student activities. They are listed in this pacing guide. The orange ones are the college assignments. So the idea behind the pacing guide is that you can get a snapshot of how you can fit all of the activities that we saw in your Module 1 overview. So I'm clicked back here over to your high school course. All of these reading assignments, which again, think of these as single pages in a textbook. All of the high school activities or assignments, and then the students' college assignments are all listed here in your high school course. The pacing guide is meant to help you visualize how you would fit all of those assignments, activities, reading, etc., into 2 weeks so that you are staying on pace. Part of what you are doing in Model Teach is after exploring this curriculum, you're thinking about how you're going to present it to your students within that given time. You will be using a variety of teaching techniques, including some lecture and teaching in the classroom, group activities, combined with homework or pre reading activities. And this is at your discretion, depending on the needs of your students. The dual enrollment model involves the high school course and the college course occurring concurrently. In your high school course, you are supporting the students to learn this material that exists in their Rhetoric 306 curriculum. How you teach that content and how you use your classroom time is largely up to you, but the content needs to be covered roughly according to this pacing guide in order for the students to be on task and on pace to submit their college assessments, which have due dates that are rather immobile. Remember that you can view your college due dates and group assignment in pacing in Instructor HQ. For example, if I am in Dallas ISD, I can see that I am in Group B. And then when I go back to the college due dates, I see Group B is right here. And these are the due dates that I'm looking at to see when my students' college assessments will be due. And these are broken down by the name of the assessment: the research summary quiz, the mapping a controversy draft 1, mapping a controversy draft 2, the persuasive essay draft 1, and the persuasive essay draft 2. Those are the college assessments. And those are due on specific and immobile dates. In the case of an emergency, you have the ability to move that 1 or 2 days, and that is it. So we need to plan our teaching around these immobile dates, kind of like how you would prepare a student for an AP exam or a STAR exam. Knowing that that exam is going to occur on a specific date, we make sure that we have our students completely well educated and prepared for that assessment before that date occurs. And the pacing guide is meant to help you do that. So once again, returning to our PLI page for Model Teach, looking at Monday's schedule, all of the links that I have shared with you just now are also linked here. So this link here gets us to our week by week pacing guide, which we were just looking at, to give you an idea of how you might fit this content into a day and also how much content you might cover in a 20-minute lesson. Part of what we do on Monday or day one is we also talk about what the rest of your week will look like. So on day two, which is the end of the day on Tuesday from 3 to 5 p.m., you will have independent work time to complete your 20-minute lesson. So after Monday, after rereading Module 1, looking at the pacing guide, and thinking about how you might start to design a lesson based in the content of Module 1 for your students, now you will have time to literally build that lesson that you will be teaching to your peers on Thursday. That's what we do in the last 2 hours of Tuesday. Then on Thursday, we come back together for you to teach that 20-minute lesson to your facilitators and peers. You will also be observing their lessons and debriefing, and you will have time for reflection as well. And Sibme is a database that houses resources that are created by and shared by your fellow instructors, including the mentor instructors and facilitators that you will meet this week. There is also content in there that has been created by staff or vetted by staff. This video, supporting accessing Sibme for Model Teach, is a video that walks you through the parts of Sibme that you need to access, as well as troubleshooting accessing Sibme if you have any trouble getting to that third-party platform. If you look at this video on YouTube, like most OnRamps videos that are made available on YouTube, you can scroll down to the description underneath the video and click more to expand it, and you will see that there is a clickable table of contents. At the 5 minute and 50-second mark is troubleshooting accessing Sibme. So if you're having trouble or you're not sure how to access Sibme, please make sure that you review this video. The beginning goes through the parts of Sibme that you need to access as an OnRamps instructor and to make it user-friendly for Model Teach. And then beginning at that 550 mark is troubleshooting accessing Sibme. So please take advantage of that resource, which is embedded in our Model Teach page for PLI right at the end of day one. There's also a video transcript if you prefer to read along. And the videos are professionally captioned, so you can turn on the captioning if you'd like to follow in that way. Moving on to day 2, you'll notice that the Model Teach is all in one page that continues down this same Canvas page just to make things easier for you to navigate. You can also click on these icons to jump to the days. So if I wanted to jump back to the top to the beginning of Monday, that clicking on that link takes me here. And if I click on Tuesday, it'll jump me down to Tuesday. So now we are on Tuesday. This is what you're going to be doing in the afternoon from 3 to 5 p.m. So here's our table again, which says what we are going to be working on today. Again, you're going to be carefully studying Module 1 in order to design a lesson for your specific student body that is based on that curriculum. An important thing for you to keep in mind is that you should be providing a lesson that is scaffolded to your student population. And before you present on Thursday, you will be talking about who your student population is and how you deliberately scaffolded this lesson for those students, including any pre-work that you would have them do, any group activities that you would have them working on, or anything that they might be doing afterward to complete the lesson, as obviously 20 minutes is a short snapshot of an entire module. On Tuesday, you will review this slideshow below, which walks through some details about how you can scaffold this content. For a slideshow that is embedded in Canvas like this one, you will see there are navigation arrows in the bottom left-hand corner, and I can click this next arrow to travel through. So notice that same Sibme video that is listed above is also embedded here if you need assistance with Sibme. The contents of the slideshow are here. So there's an overview of day 2, some scaffolding ideas to help you with preparing your college curriculum for your students, how you prepare for Thursday, and support and resources. Please make sure that you go through this slideshow on Tuesday. Before ending your day on Tuesday, please make sure that you click this link that says submit your lesson materials via this Canvas assignment as explained in the slideshow above. This is how you get credit for your independent work that you complete on Tuesday, as you will be working on your own and you will not be in a Zoom session or a facilitated session. So by clicking on this Canvas assignment, it will open an assignment for you, very similar to the self-directed assignments that you have completed in PLI in the self-directed or the independent study assignments. So in order to complete this assignment, this is your view. You will see there is a Start Assignment blue button up here at the top. This is also what students see when they're completing an assignment in Canvas, so this is good practice. But you'll see the Start Assignment button, and when you click that, you will be able to attach any of the notes or planning, slideshows, etc., that you have created for your Model Teach assignment for Thursday. This is just to give you credit for the work that you completed on Tuesday. You can continue to work on your lesson if you are not finished at 5 p.m. on Tuesday evening. This is just a way to make sure that you've checked in. And when I click that Start Assignment, it jumps me down here to the bottom where I can attach whatever it is that I've created thus far. So you can upload a file, you can add a recording, you can add multiple files if you have them, attach a slideshow, whatever it is that you have created for your lesson at that point, please upload it as a check-in. Again, you can continue to work on your lesson. You are not going to present it until Thursday morning. So once again, for Tuesday, you are working on designing your lesson that uses content from Module 1, informed by the week-by-week pacing guide to give you an accurate picture of the content that you would cover in a given day. You will review the slideshow below, which includes an embedded video on Sibme, which I recommend you watch if you are not already familiar with this resource. Also, if you are having trouble accessing Sibme, this video will help you. Lastly, before you leave on Tuesday evening, make sure that you click this link and submit any of the lesson materials that you have created thus far for the lesson that you are going to present on Thursday. If you are finished, awesome. Upload your slideshow or whatever it is that you created to help you with presenting your lesson via Zoom, and that will count as your assignment or attendance for Tuesday. If you are in the process, upload whatever you've created thus far, even if it's just a walkthrough or a lesson plan. That gives you credit for the work you did. Finally, day 4, Thursday, is when you will actually be presenting. So when you are teaching or presenting, you will briefly describe your student population and how you intentionally addressed their learning needs in the design of your lesson. You will present or teach your 20-minute lesson as though you were teaching to actual students, and your peers and facilitator will be acting as your students. Feel free to involve them in the lesson if there is an activity in which students should be participating. Your participants will be doing so. There will be a debrief session. So during the debrief, which is about 10 minutes after you present your lesson, you will be listening and annotating on the questions and feedback or suggestions that you receive from your audience, that is your peers and facilitator, and respond to those questions. And then you will be completing a reflection section of your note-taking document. The note-taking document is embedded down here, either in a Google Doc or Microsoft Word. And when I click that, it opens in a separate page for me to make a copy of the note-taking document. Or if I click on the Microsoft Word, it opens for me to download. So choose the method or medium of your preference. But you will see the note-taking document. There is a separate section for each of the presenters in your group. And as a student, you will be filling out the section of I learned, I have these questions, I appreciated, and any overall feedback that you have. And that is repeated for each of the members of your team. And then at the bottom, there is a space for a personal reflection where you get to talk about what you think went well, and what you would do over, if you could do it over again, what you might change, etc. So just space for you to reflect. You will upload this note-taking document to Sibme, as well as all of your final lesson planning materials when you complete those presentations on Thursday. And there's a reminder about that here in the what should I upload to Sibme. So that's what you'll be doing on Thursday. To figure out where you are going on Thursday, you will come down to this table, which is at the bottom of the Thursday section of the Model Teach PLI page. Right now, the group assignments are blank as we are waiting on the final rosters, but you will find the name of a presenter, their Zoom link, which is how you will join their Zoom room on Thursday, as well as a link to their Sibme huddle for each of the facilitators that we have for Thursday. So you will locate your name in one of these boxes, and then you will go to that facilitator's room by clicking on their Zoom link. So that is how you will join at 9 a.m. on Thursday morning in order to present for your team. Okay, this has been a quick overview of the Model Teach Day 1. For those of you who were absent on Monday or just wanted a refresher for what you should be doing for Model Teach this week before you launch into the 2-hour independent work time on Tuesday. As a reminder, if you need support while you are working on your Model Teach lesson development, you have several different options. On Tuesday from 3 to 5 p.m., when you are in your independent work time, I will be available via office hours. You can access office hours by clicking office hours in the left-hand navigation link of any Canvas page. And this will give you the Zoom link to join the Zoom room where I am sitting and waiting to help you. There's the Zoom link right there. And as you can see, we are normally available for office hours all throughout the year for drop-in for instructor assistance throughout this week and throughout the rest of the year. So during Tuesday specifically, there is time set aside for you to drop in for office hours to get assistance working on your Model Teach lesson planning. If you need help outside of that 3 to 5 p.m. window and you are still working on your Model Teach lesson design, that is completely fine. You can reach out to us via OnRamps support, which is also always available in the left-hand links of any Canvas page. You can also use the Sibme chat feature. One of the most common ways that instructors communicate with their huddle, their Model Teach huddle or facilitator during this synchronous PLI and for Model Teach is by accessing their Model Teach huddle chat in Sibme. If you are not familiar with how to do that, there is a walkthrough in the embedded video on the Model Teach PLI page. I will show you a brief view. You can reach out to staff and you can also reach out to your facilitators and peers through the Sibme chat. So this is a very handy way to get support or ask quick questions of the group while you're working on Model Teach, but you're not actually in a Model Teach unit at that time. So if a question comes up for you in the evening when you're working, or if you are thinking about this or working on it during independent time throughout any of these days between now and Thursday morning when we present, this is a really handy way for you to bounce ideas off of each other. The Sibme chat. Again, that's located up here in the upper right-hand corner of Sibme once you get successfully logged in. If you're not sure how to access Sibme, please make sure that you review that video, which is embedded at the bottom of the day 1 for Monday, and it's also embedded in the slideshow on day 2. So just make sure you watch that video if you are having trouble with Sibme access or troubleshooting. It is available for you there. Thank you so much for your time and attention. We are really looking forward to seeing those lessons that you're presenting on Thursday. Have a great rest of your week.